4K Downloader is a simple solution for downloading high quality videos from YouTube and other social media platforms for use at a later date. You can download the smallest resolutions all the way up to the 4K resolution, including 3D and 360 VR videos. Whether you want to download just the videos, an entire playlist or an entire channel, or if you would just like to do audio MP3s, this program is the one for you. Try it now for free, or if you'd like to get the personal or the pro setup, click on the link down below and continue to support this channel. Hey there and welcome to another Dave Does, and today we're doing something a little bit different on the channel from the usual collaborations or reaction videos, etc. We're doing a kind of a little bit of a just to talk through about my editing process for those that are interested in video editing. I did a few videos of I did my 2-year anniversary video, and I talked about how many hours I spend on a video. So the average amount of time that's spent from filming, editing and uploading takes about an hour per reaction video. Now, I spoke to a couple of other YouTubers, we were chatting about a few things, and they tend to say that their editing takes a lot longer. They can spend many hours doing edits. Now, either that means that my videos are a lot lower quality, or there's a little bit, maybe my workflow's slightly different to make my life easier. So I thought I'd share that for those that are wanting to do video editing or basic editing like mine is for a YouTube video, and see what you get. So let's do that. So the first couple of bits I want to talk about is my setup. So I use a program called FILMORA 9, which is my editing suite, which I use from Wondershare. Great program. Pay a month, pay for the program, but you get the there's a monthly subscription to access all the different filters and stuff like that. And I get the standard package. It cost me, I think it's about $10 a month, somewhere around that sort of price, but it gives me most of the things I need. I also use a couple of other websites like Videozy and stuff like that for some of the intro videos and stuff like that, so that just made my life a little bit simpler. But let me just bring it up on the screen. There we go. So this is a project that's already open. So this is I'm putting the headphones on just so that I can hear and it doesn't mess up with the recording of this particular video. But as you can see from the top of the page here, it's used sort of musicians reacts projects. So I have a master file for Dave Does, musician reacts, and a collaborations one. So it's basically just to help me so I don't have to keep editing the suite each time. And what I've got here is you've got across the top here your media, any audio, which usually gets presets in there. Title packs, now you get your basic ones, but you also get all these extra ones if you register. So I've got like the steampunk ones, which some of you will see on some of the videos. The grunge pack I tended to use quite a lot on some of the videos. Haven't used it for a little while, but I do tend to use that one quite often because I quite like the effect. And there's a few others in there. Transitions, now again I use the grunge pack transition quite a lot, but recently I've switched back to using just the fade. But there's loads of different things you can do on it, and then you've got different effects that you can do over the top. So chromatic, 70s, black and white film. There's a load of other stuff. I don't tend to use those. I use a couple of things on the collaboration videos, but nothing on other things. And then you've got these other elements which are just kind of pop-ups, and you can trial things out by just kind of clicking on them, and it'll give you an idea of how they're going to appear on the screen. Come on, emoji, you going to play? No, it doesn't want to play that one. Okay, didn't want to play for some reason. Don't know why that is. But as you can see there, I'm going to get rid of this little icon here, which is annoying. We don't need that. Right, so, and yes, there's loads of different things you can kind of trial out on the on different elements and drag and drop. So it's very much a drag and drop toolkit. And then split screen if you want to do multiples. I haven't used this yet, but I will probably set this up for collaboration videos and try all that out on a future plan. But anyway, let's go back to the media. So the most important thing is you need to drag and drop what you're actually doing here. So so what I do is this icon here is actually the one that's being recorded as I speak, and these are two previous ones. And all you would do, I've actually got this already in there, but the one I haven't done yet, or what I'm going to do today, is this one. So you would just drag it into your media, into their copy, and then that drops it in there. Now, what I've already got preloaded, and this is one of the things that saves me a lot of hassles, is on here I've already got my musician reacts intro. I've got the 4K downloader video in there. So as I click across this sort of top time bar, anywhere I click on there, it just takes me to the point where it's in there. So I've got my downloader, I've got my timer, which is up in the top right corner. If I need to get into a bit more detail, it's as simple as clicking left and then just dragging left or right to expand out. And then I've got also my wavelength. So if, for instance, the volume's a little bit too loud, and that's what I tend to do, is I tend to look at the introduction video. So I'll double click on it. Gives me a load of other options at the top here, but also I go straight to the audio. I've left that as fairly standard. Might bring that down a little bit because that's quite loud. Oh, actually, no, I edited that one, so the musician, the Dave Does video is quite loud normally, so I have to adjust that one. Okay, so we've got all that. We've got the 4K downloader, so that's gonna. I'm not going to put a segue in, but if I wanted to do a transition, for instance, so if I play it now. So that just gives us straight cuts. There was no transition there. So if I put a fade, and I can just grab the fade off the top there, put it across the two bars. And you know what? Okay. I'll probably just leave that fade in there. So that's fine. What we'll then do is you've got all the other bits, like, so I've got my background, which was basically is just that. It's a black screen. But again, I can move it anywhere I want on there. It wasn't originally a black screen. It was done in, I think it was done on this originally. And what I do is I record each snippet, do it, export it, and then I import it as a separate file, rather than editing it each and every time. So this was the important thing about my workflow, is to make sure I've edited and got all these different bits of footage. The rules are in there. So that's another, so if I click on the rules, that's another thing. That would have had a white background, which I've then edited. I've got the little Musician React logo in the bottom, which is basically like my own watermark, but that was a much bigger icon. It's just a JPEG with the background removed. And again, you can do that through things like green screen. So if you click on any of the items in here, click on green screen, and you can basically then click on the relevant item. I think this was a PNG file, which had a transparency, so it just made it so I didn't have to worry about doing a green screen on this particular one. But normally you would use green screen and then you would adapt. So I'll see if there's any that need doing as far as green screening. Right, so once I get to this sort of stage, the easiest thing I find is just to get myself a full visual. Now, one thing I've talked about before on the channel is I tend to video multiple reactions at the same time. So what I'll do is I'm going to drag this file down into the workflow, whack it right up against the 4K downloader, let that load in. One thing I do know is my mic volumes are not always as loud as I need them to be from the initial recording. I have no idea why. I have recently increased those, but I'm going to whack that up by 12 decibels overall. What it does is it gives me a really good idea here, just on the workflow. It's a little bit of spikes here and there, but those spikes are actually where the song is playing, because the song's playing. So I used to do headphones, well, like I am now, but it's more now a case of I'm getting it through the speakers, so I need to edit those out. So that's the actual my video, and what you can see here is it's quite a long one. It's 20 minutes long, which means there is actually 2 songs that have been reacted to in here, and there's a reason for this. It just makes my life real simple as far as my workflow. So what we then do is I need to find the count point. Now, you'll have noticed on my videos I do a lot of 3, 2, 1, go. The reason for that is that they're my vocal cues of when to place my edits. So if I play this back now, 3, 2, 1. Hey there, and welcome to another Musician's React. So there we go. So I know where my count is, so I'll just find that line there just before I come in, click on the picture, and then I've got this lovely little scissors cue. Now, if I hadn't clicked on this workflow line, it will do a cut across every single thing that's in that line, basically. So you need to make sure you click on the actual right icon. You can use up here in the top here, you've got the Control Z undo. I just use the Control Z function rather than clicking on it, but there you go. So we'll drag that along, and we'll put a nice little transition on there. So transition fade. Obviously by now I'd have probably almost finished editing the video on a normal day, but now we've got that in place. Hey there, and welcome to another Musician's React, and today we're checking out Foals, and the song is Exit. I have absolutely no idea about what Foals are. If that's Now I may sometimes watch all of this bit, but generally as long as it's all peaking, I know what I've basically said, so I just sort of skim along until I find the point where I think I'm counting it in. 3, 2, 1, go. So when I say that go, I need to pause it there. I find the video. So again, what I've done is, if you have not looked at my the intro tape, they're 4K downloader. So I've got my 4K downloader file here, which has got all the videos that I need for editing, etc. So there'll be files in here, wherever it is, files, there we go, files exit, plus a load of other stuff and audio files. And again, same as we did before, we just drag that over. Now I already have, so there it is, it's already in the file. And now I've got that line, I'm just going to drag it down and line it up. And what I now need to do is make sure I do a quick snipe or a snip, or whatever you want to call it, snip, on my master video file. Drag it along here to, shrink the size of that file down. That's better. To the point of the end of the video. Expand back in. And this is so because I'm talking over the right at the end of the video, I need to make sure I know when to unmute. So there we go. So I've snipped it. My presentation video is basically in line with the music video. I'm now just going to mute me, so you don't get the bleed from the stereo or anything like that. So if I was doing like talking, it's one of the reasons I have the rules of not talking during the actual video. So I need to slurp my coffee, my travel mug today. I know I'm not travelling, but I was actually meant to be working today, and then the heavens have opened and we've got storms here in the UK, so I'm not working. Right, anyway, but yeah, so we've got that now. I've muted myself out so you can't hear that. We've now got the music videos lined up. Music video is always quite loud, so I always take this down by about 5 decibels just to bring it more in line with the rest of the video. Otherwise, if you're sitting out there on your MP3 player or your phone, or you're on the computer and you're watching this video, or one of my videos, and you've got me talking at a certain level and I'm talking like this and relatively quiet in comparison, and then the music video comes in and it's really loud, you suddenly go bloody hell. So I try to, as best I can, I don't spend a huge amount of time trying to get the levels 100% accurate between the two, so apologies, but it's not an area I wanted to spend a huge amount of time on. But I'll bring them down by about usually 4 or 5 decibels is usually fine. Now what you can see on this screen here is it's obviously there's a lot of overlays going on here, they're not all lined up. So we need to get the 4 quadrants, which is what I like to use. So we'll drag that down here. So music video into that one, then click on my picture, drag me up, and it's another reason for doing the cut. It means I'm only editing that line, I'm not changing this. So if I go back to the other main video, that's still in the full stage. Whereas if I hadn't done the cut and I'd done that shrink, I'd have had to keep doing that. So again, makes it a little bit easier. For these ones, the text boxes, they're fairly simple. If I look above, what I've now got is I've got my logo. And then I've got these what's called the musicians music artist pack title number 6, and that's basically this big icon in the corner. And I can change this out for a different style, but at the moment I've gone for this style I'm using for a little while. So I've just dragged that for the same start and finish time, and then all I need to do is just click on it as you would anything else and type over the top. So files. What's the song title again? Exits. So there we go, exits. Now I could change it, make it bigger or something like that. I think that's fine for what it needs to be. And then above it, what we've got is we've got these little credits, and these are end credit sections basically. They're used for end film credits, but I'm utilising them slightly differently. And what I need to do is, I don't really want to do more than 4 different bits of information. Sorry, I was on the wrong side of the screen there. I don't really want to do more than 4 bits of information on this. And the reason behind that is I did used to do a little bit more. So I'd put a bit more information about bands, and I'd have like 6 or 7. The problem was then you do another reaction to this band, and what more information can you put in there? So the question is, where do I get the information? Well, pretty much like most people would do about a band, is you get it from Wikipedia. So that's the next thing to do. Hopefully that's going to come up. So literally we would just go files, band. And so I go to files band, Wikipedia. And this is quite useful for me. I'll try and pull some information off here. So, English rock band from Oxford, formed in 2005, so it helps me a little bit with mine. And I'll just take the first paragraph in a lot of cases and utilise that as a bit of information. Because really the idea here is to give a bit more information to the viewer if you may not know the band. And it also helps me a little bit from, as I'm putting these edits together, helps me understand a little bit more about them. Sometimes I'll pull this information up a little bit before the reaction as I'm doing it. But really here all I'm going to be doing is trying to make this into a nice squared off paragraph. So there we go, it's all nice and squared off. And then I'll just take out any of these odd ones because they don't make any sense unless you're using Wikipedia. So there's not many in there, there was just the one I think. There we go. Make sure it's all within the screen because sometimes when I'm doing edits it kind of goes a little bit funny. That looks okay. And these are basic, I mean there is other options you can do with these. You can put them with the advanced functions, you can do things like, sorry I'm getting updates here, so you've got fades in here, so we've got Foles are an English rock band from Oxford. There's different elements, there's more than, in this case I've just used one line, but you could have multiple different lines coming at different times, and it's just how quickly. So right at the edge here is when the actual start of that quadrant does. If I want it to fade in a bit later, I can put it over here somewhere so it comes in much later on, or I can have it coming straight in so there's no fade in, but I like a little fade in, so it gives it a little bit of time. But yes, I'm going to leave it with a little fade in, and all I then do is pull off another section, copy, and again a lot of fans of a band like this will already know most of this information, so it's really for the people that probably know nothing about the band and maybe checking out this video, or have recently heard the song about this band but don't really know much about them yet or haven't looked into it. And I think for me as an older rocker, I suppose, not that old, but an older rocker from the 80s and 90s, more 90s I guess for me, having the access to this is still not something that I would naturally do when looking at that band. I'm just going to sort of check out band and that would be the end of it. It wouldn't be a case of, you'd find out all your information from things like Kerrang! Magazine back in the day. So now what I tend to do is with these sort of setups where I've only got 4, I try to think about a couple about the back end of the band, and then maybe try to do either the last 2 or the last 1 about the actual song. And good thing about Wikipedia is it does allow you to kind of, it highlights when the song's been like a single or something, where they've got additional information about it. So having a quick go through this, I'm trying to find the song Exits and see if it's highlighted in any particular way, because sometimes it will be. No. And the thing is, I could have obviously checked all this out before I started doing this video, but this is exactly what I do when I'm doing the edit, so it gives you an idea roughly on the sort of time. It'd probably been almost finished by now, but okay, I can't see Exits mentioned here, so I'm not sure what album it's come off of. You're all probably screaming at the screen going, I know which album that came off of. Ooh, okay, Holy Fire was produced by Flood and Alan Moulder, who have worked with many 9 Inch Nails. Cool. Right, let's do formation. We'll take some information about the formation of the band. We'll use that as a number 3. Yeah, I do hum away. Usually I actually have, when I'm doing edits like this, I usually have something like I'll have some Netflix on and I'll be watching either like some sci-fi stuff like some Star Trek Voyager, or you know, just any sort of random, anything that usually something I've seen before though. I'm sitting far too close to that bit of the screen, it's weird. But something I'll have normally seen before, rather than something I actually want to see on a regular basis. Okay, we're going to try and find something about Exits. If I'm not sure on something, what I'll do is I'll do Foles Band Exits and see if I can find... So sometimes you'll get like the lyrics will come up, or I'll use, oh, there you go, exit song. Awesome. If I can't find it on that one, then what I'll do is I'll tend to find it for the meaning. They haven't written anything about the meaning, so I'll just pull the top part for the song. Sometimes I'll go into a bit more detail around things. So like when I did the Katy Perry Snoop Dogg in the studio, that was quite interesting because you're trying to find a bit more information out. When you're doing covers, you do a little bit about the person doing the cover. You also do a little bit about the original artist. Come on, let's just get all this in. This actually is just the bit that takes the longest at the moment, is just getting all this information in, because it just takes a while to find it and pick something that's actually relevant to the band. I mean, when I do the Alec Bartar videos, these ones, there's only so many times you can write about Alec Bartar, so you have to kind of make sure you're doing something about the original artist. But there we go. So now what we've got, let's play a little bit of it of the transition. So it's got plenty of time on there. I mean, I could put more snippets in, but as I said, if I do more than 4, I lose amount of I lose some of the other stuff I could potentially add in if I ever do that for same band again. So I try not to, but let's just make sure it's got a clean coming out. Okay, so folds and exit. Okay, that looks fine. And then literally I've just got to then find the point where I stop talking, which usually I will find by there'll be a little dip in the audio line. So you can kind of see it here. There's no talking, so I'll just snip to the end. Like and share, and that of course is how a musician reacts. So we'll do there, we'll give it a snip. So we snip the end off. Now, of course, there's another song on after this, but because this is the end of this particular video, I can delete that off. I take the intro from the beginning, we'll just copy that over. Now, the important thing is to make sure when you're then pasting things in that you select what line you want to paste it onto. So I've got the point where I want to paste it because I've just used the same cut point, and then I'm just going to copy and paste. That drops it in. And because it's the same one, I didn't, rather than dragging a brand new one down and having to mess around with it, I've just taken the one from the beginning. That means if there's any volume changes or anything like that, that's going to be exactly the same. Grab the fade, drop the fade over the top. The one thing I do need to sort out here is the logo in the corner. That's not all the way to the end because each video is different length. The good thing about this thing is as you're moving things along, when it lines up with the start of, over here somewhere, when it lines up with the start of one of the snippets of information or the snippets of a video, it gives you this lovely greeny blue line. So you know then you've got it dead on a section. But if you're not sure, you can always click on it and then drag it in, and there we go, it's all nicely lined up there. So all the videos where it finishes, they're all finishing at the same time. I'll show you this one, just last one, which is my subscribe, click bell icon, like, share. So this is I call it green. It's called the green screen tool. So we'll click on that. So at the moment, it's covering up the whole screen. Now, if I go to the green screen functionality, there we go, green screen. So that's basically what it looks like normally. Now, when you first, I'm going to take it out because I've got it somewhere up here in the media. I'll drag the original one back in. So when you first get it, it's like this, and if you click on green screen, it's giving you an automatic color for green, so it's picked a green for you. Now what you do get then is you get this kind of haziness. Now you can change it, you can do some tweaks to the offsets and stuff like that. What I find the best thing to do is use your color picker and pick the color that you want to green screen, so you want to remove. That way you just get a much crisper, straight away it's a lot less hazy. What we then do is we punch the offset up, we push the tolerance up, so we get this to give it a nice crisp look. Edge thickness, I always put it around the middle. And again, I've tweaked these settings each time, and then I bring the edge feathering down a little bit, and it just gives it a nice overall look without being too sharp and not too fluffy. I should hopefully still be in line. If it's not, I'll have to move that. There we go. Right, so everything seems to be in place. Everything looks okay there. There's one thing I didn't line up. So this was my Musician React rules. Now that's currently going over, which it shouldn't do. So that should basically finish just as I count in. And again, it's because I say this at different times. Sometimes the length of this, I don't want to speed it up, so I just basically put it there anyway. So it's always in the sort of same place in the last sort of like 13 seconds. It does mean that by the time I get into my first part of the reaction of the song, it's almost 2.5 minutes in. Now that's quite a long time. But with covering off all the topics about things like checking out second channels and stuff like that, there's no real way around it. With it being a reaction channel, if you do want to try and raise any funds on your channel, you can't get any money for reactions. So things like the 4K downloader is one way to sort of raise funds or raise money to keep the channel going and pay for days like this where I can't physically do my normal day job. This is a good way of doing it. See, it's getting brighter out there. It's horrible storm weather though. It's a bit better. Not so much glare on my face. But there you go. So that's basically it done. And then all you've got to then do is go export, create video, and files. Exits. Obviously, let's type that correctly. React. And my settings are simple: 1920 by 1080, 60 frames per second, and you can go into this and change all these settings if you want. Best quality, highest sound quality, etc. Always go for the most, and that's size of just under a kilobyte for 13 minutes. So it does take up quite a lot of hard drive space when you've got a lot of videos. So that's why it's good to get them uploaded as soon as you can. Click export, and it can basically do a preview of it so you get to see where it's going. You can get loads more other things in there, but yeah, so it gives me a timer, it gives me a rough idea, and the actual timers aren't too bad. They're about pretty accurate for their editing time, so it's about 10 minutes there. And then it'll take about another 10 minutes to upload it onto YouTube. So yeah, you're talking around about an hour to do a full video edit. And then once this finishes, all I would do is to go to the next video is I would just literally do a Control Z. And all that will do is it will take off that last little bits of those last few edits and put the second track back in. And then I can delete the first part of the track out and do the next, and just do exactly the same workflow. So it's as simple as that. So it takes about 10 minutes roughly to edit a video. Hope that you found it useful. If you've got any questions or liked any, if you're doing edits and if you've got any suggestions about my edits, it's always greatly appreciated. But if you've got any questions as well, put them in the comments down below. I hope you found it interesting in what I do. And that, of course, is how Dave does it.